Around the world, people sing karaoke in neon-lit bars, sign important papers with smooth ink, and heal infections with trusted antibiotics. Astronauts once drove across the moon on rugged wheels. Premature infants survive in incubators. Our laptops talk to each other through tiny chips. Most never ask where these things began, or who helped make them possible. But if you trace the lines carefully, again and again, you arrive at the same ocean, the same archipelago, the same people. The Philippines has shaped our daily lives in ways that rarely make the headlines. A toy you thought was American, a machine you thought was Japanese, a medicine you assumed came from somewhere else. Tonight we're counting down 10 things you probably didn't know were Filipino. Stories of ingenuity, grit, and creativity that traveled the world. By the end, you may find the Philippines in your pocket, on your screen, in your favorite song, even in a life-saving dose of medicine. Number 10. Most people meet the yo-yo on a playground, not in a history book. Yet the modern yo-yo's worldwide rise is tightly linked to a Filipino immigrant named Pedro Flores, who in the late 1920s built a small factory in California and dazzled crowds with tricks that turned a spool on a string into a global craze. Popular lore in the Philippines also speaks of earlier, heavier corded discs used for hunting, an idea that captures the drama of a tool that comes back. But historians debate the weapon claim. What's indisputable is this: Flores refined, branded, demonstrated, and scaled the yo-yo into an international phenomenon. From schoolyards in Manila to competitions in Prague, the up-down rhythm, the sleeping spin, the whip-crack back to the hand, these movements carry a Filipino signature. Next time you see a yo-yo walk the dog or go around the world, remember the journey it already made. From a Filipino entrepreneur's imagination to a toy box on every continent. Number 9. Open a pantry in a Filipino home and you'll likely find ketchup. Bright red, sweet, tangy, and made from bananas. During World War II, when tomatoes were scarce, Filipina food technologist Maria Orosa turned to an abundant local fruit and invented banana catsup. She balanced mashed bananas with vinegar, sugar, spices, and a bit of coloring to achieve the familiar look while keeping a distinctly tropical flavor. It wasn't just clever, it was resilience in a bottle, part of Orosa's larger mission to fight hunger with science. Her recipes and preservation methods fed families under wartime shortages and later seeded an export beloved across the diaspora. Today, banana catsup appears on fried chicken, omelets, and Filipino-style spaghetti from Manila to Dubai to Los Angeles. It's a reminder that innovation often begins at the table, that in scarcity, Filipinos found a way to turn a local fruit into a global comfort. Number 8. You've heard it through thin walls and over city streets. A voice reaching for a chorus, backed by a scrolling lyric screen. In 1975, Filipino inventor Roberto del Rosario patented the sing-along system, a compact machine that let ordinary people sing to instrumental tracks with a microphone. Portable, intuitive, and perfect for gatherings. Japan's bar-based karaoke culture would explode in parallel, but the Filipino version embedded itself in the home. Birthdays, reunions, street parties, any night that begged for one more song. Karaoke is less a device than a ritual of inclusion. No stage too small, no voice unwelcome, no audience too shy to clap along. And from Manila living rooms to London pubs, that ritual spread. Del Rosario's patented spark gave a global pastime its form, the chance for anyone to be a headliner for 3 minutes, to turn a room full of strangers into a choir. Number 7. Before a punch is thrown, Arnis is already there, angles mapped, timing set, the hand learning to move like a blade. Filipino martial arts, Arnis, Eskrima, or Kali, grew from island warfare and community defense, adapting sticks, knives, and everyday tools. It teaches economy. The shortest line, the simplest motion, the principle that the hand is the real weapon. In the 20th century, it traveled, with migrants, with instructors, with curious martial artists seeking practical systems. Today, law enforcement and military units around the world drill Arnis techniques for close-quarters encounters. Hollywood stunt teams weave its rhythm into visceral fight scenes, from The Bourne Identity to John Wick. On a rooftop at dusk, two silhouettes trade angles 1 to 12. In a studio, a student learns that flow is faster than force. Arnis is Filipino movement refined to a philosophy: protect, adapt, survive, then pass it on. Number 6. A fountain pen can be merciless. Clog it, smear it, and it will betray you on the page. In the 1930s, Filipino chemist Francisco Quisumbing formulated Quink Ink for Parker. It dried rapidly, resisted clogging, flushed cleanly through delicate feeds, and made everyday writing less of a gamble. The result? Smoother signatures, fewer ruined nibs, fewer ink-blotted fingers. Quink became a global standard, bottled and shipped wherever people wrote letters, ledgers, novels, and treaties. It is an invisible companion to history, as mundane as a desk lamp and as essential as a good light. Somewhere, a student's first perfect line. Somewhere else, a president's name drying on an agreement. Both guided by a Filipino chemist who solved a boring problem in a beautiful way, by letting words move. Number 5. Decades before most households had televisions, Filipino engineer Gregorio Zara demonstrated a two-way videophone in 1955. It looked like science fiction, a voice and a face traveling together across a wire. The world wasn't ready, infrastructure lagged, costs loomed, and his device became a marvel more than a market. But the idea lodged in our technological subconscious. When satellites multiplied and broadband arrived, Zara's vision snapped into daily life. Calls with grandparents across oceans, remote classrooms, global boardrooms beaming into living rooms. Each time a face appears on a screen and a voice follows with no delay, we rehearse a Filipino dream of shrinking distance. It's the kind of invention that isn't measured by units sold, but by a changed expectation. Seeing is normal now. Number 4. In rural wards where electricity flickers and budgets bend, Dr. Faye del Mundo built an answer from what the village had. A bamboo-shelled incubator warmed by hot water bottles and careful design. A Harvard-trained Filipina pediatrician, she returned home to the Philippines and spent her life lowering the threshold of survival for the smallest patients. Her low-tech, high-ingenuity incubator helped premature infants maintain body temperature where modern machines were scarce. Her broader work in neonatal care shaped practices across the developing world. Today we see sleek incubators humming in NICUs, but the spirit behind them, make warmth reliable, make care reachable, was championed by Del Mundo. In every quiet beep and steady breath of a newborn who finally rests easy, you can hear the echo of her idea. If you can't bring the hospital to the village, bring the village into the hospital. Number 3. To drive on the moon is to argue with physics. Low gravity, razor-edged dust, temperature swings that bully metal. During the Apollo era, Filipino engineer Eduardo San Juan is widely credited in Philippine sources as part of the team behind the lunar roving vehicle's wheel design. Those open mesh tires that gripped powder and shrugged off sharp regolith. Whether leading or contributing, his story captures a truth. Filipino engineering talent reached all the way to another world. Those wire mesh wheels carried astronauts farther than their boots could, turning a landing site into a journey. Watch the footage, rover cresting a ridge, Earth hanging like a marble, and remember there were hands and minds from many nations in that machine. Among them, a Filipino whose work helped make extraterrestrial travel feel almost ordinary. Number 2. Open a laptop and you open a universe of tiny decisions. In the 1980s and 90s, Filipino engineer and entrepreneur Dado Banatao drove several of those decisions. the first single-chip 16-bit microprocessor-based PC system, early chipsets that shrank boards and slashed costs, a single-chip graphics accelerator that made graphical user interfaces smooth, and later an integrated 10100 Ethernet controller that turned network cabling into a household utility. Banatao didn't invent the computer or Ethernet, but he condensed complexity, made speed cheaper, and brought performance within reach of students, startups, and families. The democratization of computing isn't one big invention, it's 1,000 quiet optimizations. Many of the quietest were his. If your first computer felt fast enough for wonder, a Filipino engineer helped make that feeling affordable. Number 1. In 1949, a Filipino medical representative named Abelardo Aguilar sent soil samples from Iloilo to his employer, Eli Lilly. From that earth emerged a compound with extraordinary promise, an antibiotic that would be named Erythromycin, effective especially where penicillin failed or allergy forbade its use. It would become one of the world's most prescribed antibiotics, saving lives on every continent. Aguilar's role went largely uncredited for decades, his name absent from labels and royalties, but the moral arc of the story points back to the source. A Filipino's curiosity and initiative helped open a new front in humanity's war against infection. Every time a fever breaks, every time a wound heals cleanly because a doctor chose erythromycin, a quiet thread runs to the Visayan soil that yielded it, and to the man who sent it on its way. Not every breakthrough shouts, some whisper until the whole world is listening. A spinning toy that became a competition, a bottle born of scarcity that tastes like home, a machine that hands the mic to everyone, a fighting art that prefers flow to force, an ink that made pens behave, a call that carried a face, warmth for a life too new for cold air, wheels that crossed another world, chips that shrank complexity into something a student could afford, a medicine that turned danger into relief. These 10 stories aren't just Filipino, they're human. They remind us that invention can spring from play, from hunger, from kindness, from stubborn joy, from a question asked at just the right time. So the next time you sign your name, phone your mother, stream a song, or swallow a pill, consider this. The Philippines might be closer than you think. On your desk, in your pocket, under your skin, and sometimes saving your life.